Hello, my people. Let's see if this is working okay. We are in a bit of a weird spot today in terms of our system. It looks like it's running good. It looks like it's okay. I'm on my other laptop right now because I left the good laptop at my sister's house. It's been a little chaotic today. We're also doing this a little earlier than I normally would because it's taco night and I'm going to go get some really good tacos with the family. So I didn't want to leave you hanging, though. I didn't want to not stream today. Next week will be a real challenge because I'm going to be probably in Cincinnati filming content. So maybe we'll do it live from there. We'll see. We got a lot of possibilities. Today, though, what we're going to be doing, and I apologize in advance if I don't have a lot of attention to the chat. I'm going to try. I love you guys, but it's a little tough right now because I'm tight on space right now. I don't have multiple monitors. I don't have two laptops running. We're improvising a little bit today. But anyway, what I want to do today is another ranking video because you guys seemed to like that last week, obviously for obvious reasons. But we're going to do one about every school that I went to as a student. And that is something I want to talk about. I want to talk about how school works in the United States. I want to give you a little bit of my school experience and maybe compare a little bit to what I've seen here in Peru as a school teacher. I've been on the other side of the coin. But I think that the school experience in the U.S. is quite different from what you guys see in Peru and probably what other people watching this see in your country too. And I think it's good to talk about that stuff, what works and what doesn't. So what I have here are the 8 schools that I went to. And yes, I went to 8 schools in a matter of 12 years. I guess 13 if you count kindergarten. I guess I should count kindergarten. So yeah, I went to 8 different freaking schools, which is kind of insane. If you stop and think about that, that is a lot of schools. Most of you guys probably went to 1 school or maybe 2 schools or something like that. Some of you guys maybe have been to a few more, but 8? You've been to 8 schools? I doubt it. I doubt. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about my 8 schools. What's up, Joaquin? It's good. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. So, funny thing is, I was putting together this tier list and I was trying to find the logos for all of these. Some of these schools don't even exist anymore. In fact, 3 of these are no longer schools, as far as I can tell, which blows my mind and makes me feel really old. These 3 here, Denora and Magahe, we'll talk about that one later, and Monongahela, these were 3 of the first 4 schools that I went to. They no longer exist. They demolished Magahe a few years ago. I just found that out today as I was searching for the logo. They were the Magahe Mustangs. I couldn't find a single logo. I saw t-shirt merch, and that was it. So I just whipped these crap things up in MS Paint. That's what we got today, MS Paint, because this laptop doesn't even have Photoshop on it. We are running seriously low tech today. Monongahela Elementary is no longer a school. Denora Elementary, no longer a school. So these schools that I went to as a kid are straight up gone. They no longer exist. And it's kind of nuts. And then we'll get into some of the other ones I got to later. Now, as usual, I like to talk a little bit about these tiers and what they mean, okay? Obviously, I think I want to take a similar approach to what I was doing last week where, hello, Italo, what's up? Good afternoon to you too, man. For me, the C is meh, it's fine. I did not put an F tier today because I only have 8 schools, and honestly, none of them were F tier schools. There was nothing that was so bad that I just hated every waking second of it, Although, for the most part, my school experiences did kind of suck. And so I'm going to tell you why. And I'll talk a little bit about that. I think the fact that I went to 8 different schools meant that some of those schools sucked. The experience was negative because I never got time to settle into those places. But, here we are. And everything turned out okay. So, yeah, let's get into this. So, for me, the C tier is going to be just the meh. D tier is I didn't like this. I don't want to go back. I hated it. B and A will be yeah, B would be a good place. I liked it. A might be a place that I really liked. And then if there's any S tier schools, that'll be the one where I really was truly happy, where I didn't want to leave that place. I think that would be my barometer for these different levels. So we're going to try to tier these out. All right. We're going to go in order again. I'm going to start with Denora and these ones. It's going to be tough with the elementary schools because man, that was a long time ago. I mean, I went into Denora when I was that was kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, if I'm not mistaken. And no, actually not 2nd grade, just kindergarten and 1st grade. I very vaguely remember this. I don't I remember a couple memories. I'll just tell you a story or two that I remember. Like one from kindergarten was like, I was really good at reading because my mom would read to me every night. Love you, Mom. Thank you. And so I was way ahead of everybody in reading. And that's like the main thing you learn in kindergarten, right? Is like your alphabet. And the teachers would be like, you can't sing the alphabet song because you know the alphabet too well. And everybody's just copying you. And so I was forbidden from singing the alphabet song, which I thought was lame. In first grade, because I was still good at reading, they literally made me go read to the sixth graders, which was kind of intimidating because like you shared the bus with them and they were kind of mean because like, you know, they're sixth graders. They're going to pick on the little kids. And on the bus, you know, they would like make fun of the little kids and stuff. So they were a little intimidating. And they actually made me go read a story to the sixth graders to like make a point. I don't know what the point was, if it was like, you guys suck and look, this first grader can read better than you, or if it was just like a way to motivate them. I don't know what the exact game plan was with that, but that's what they did. They literally made me go up and read a book in front of like sixth graders to sort of make this point that like they could be doing better, I guess, you know, which I thought was weird. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my audio again here. I don't know why it comes out so difficult to hear. So yeah, anyway, Denora. Let's say, I would say this is one thing I liked about it, I guess, if I have to say anything, was like the fact that it was just like first school experience. That was kind of cool, but this is just a flat C. I don't have like any strong feelings about it. It's so long ago. I was a little kid. I barely remember it. We'll just go there. Then I went to this place, Monongahela. This school was like second grade. Yeah, 8 schools, Italo. No joke. Second grade. Sorry, I'm a little delayed on the chat because I'm taking up all my window space here. But Monongahela Elementary was then second grade and some of third grade, not all of third grade completely. We'll get to that. Basically, my parents moved to a different part of the same town, and that moved me into this school. So this school used to be a giant high school, but then they built a new high school, and they turned this into an elementary school. So it was a massive school. It was like huge. You could easily get lost in there, and I did a couple of times, I remember. But because of that, it also had a lot of cool stuff. Like I remember this school had a computer lab when that was like pretty revolutionary. And mind you, this is in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. This is like on top of a mountain with like 4,000 people in the town. Okay, this is not a developed area. This is a very basic place. But it was pretty dope because this school had this like advanced computer lab. It had like, all kinds of cool stuff. I thought it was pretty neat. You had, we had Macs, like the legitimate Macs, not just like the ones with the big floppy disks. Look them up. The Apple II, we had those in our classrooms, but then we had an actual computer lab running like real Mac OS. At the time, that was like, whoa. So this place was actually kind of cool. And I remember as a kid getting into it, and that was something that like triggered me for loving computers, was the fact that I had one in my classroom. That was cool. I remember like they also had this like gifted program, not trying to flex, but like they put me in the smart kid program with like one other girl who I thought was kind of cute. And the two of us were like the only students in the smart kid program. So that was kind of cool. I would get pulled out of regular classes just to go to that. So that was neat. I liked that a lot. So yeah, like I would say this school was pretty solid. This is actually like positive memories for the most part. I think this actually could be like an A or a B. I'm going to say A on this one because I like this place. And the only reason I didn't stay that long was because my parents moved. My dad got a job offer in Michigan, and then that was in the middle of third grade. I had to leave the school in the middle of the year. And that takes me to this place, Hampton, the Hampton Hornets. Man, I remember that. I got to this school. Guys, it was like going from, I don't know how to even describe it. It was like going from like a total third world country to like Tokyo, Japan. Like just the level of advancement was on another planet. It was like I walked in and I looked around and I was like, whoa, this is a school. This is insane. I thought my Macs at Monongahela were cool. These guys were rocking like the latest iMacs with the colorful plastic. That was all the rage back then. They had this awesome big library. They had a really nice like stadium inside the place. Everything was dope. But I hated it so much. Because here's the thing, okay? I got stuff to say about this place. Even though I was only here 6 months, I hated every living second of it. And here's why. Because I came from a different system. I came from, these things, okay? Western Pennsylvania system. We were learning like basic multiplication when I moved to Michigan. Like I was doing my times tables. I clearly remember I was on the fives. I was crushing the fives. I was like 5 times 5, 25. Boom, got it. 6 times 5, 30. Boom, got it. I felt like I was conquering the world. I get to this school and they're doing like addition and subtraction with decimals. I didn't even know what decimals were, right? They were like, which is bigger, 1 or 0.7? I'm like, 0.7? Obviously, it's got a 7. I was incorrect. So, Paulo, you're awake for a stream. That makes me happy, dude. I'm glad to have you. Welcome to the party. So, like, I could not do this math, okay? I could not grasp it because it was just, like, way ahead of me. And not only that, but like other things, other topics were like way ahead. They were way more advanced at this school than I was. And so because of that, and because of the fact that I was like the biggest kid in the school, because I was naturally a big dude with up Vittorio, they thought I was like special needs. They thought I was like legitimately like, they thought I had repeated a year or something, but they never bothered to ask. They were never like, hey, let's talk to this person and find out what his situation is. No, just a brand new student appears in your class and not one person takes an ounce of interest in me. And then I had 2 teachers for one class. We had one class, but it was split so that like Wednesday in the afternoon, another teacher would come in and take over the rest of the week. So I have 2 teachers that I barely know, neither of which seem to care. I like the one more than the other. I remember that, but that was like even that basic. This place sucks so bad. For as nice as the school was as a school, like the attention was terrible. The feeling was miserable. I felt so stupid that whole year. So dumb. And it makes me appreciate that today. Like I try to take more interest in my student situations because of those experiences. Because it was like if somebody would have just pulled me over and said, yo, Meech, I'm like, what's up? How come you're having trouble with the math? I could have said, because I didn't know this. I don't even know what this is or what that is. And somebody could have helped me out. But no, they didn't do that. Mr. Parodi. Everybody say what's up to Mr. Parodi. How you doing, my man? Good to hear from you. Now, so this place for me was squarely down here. There's not even a doubt. I hated this place. In fact, later I remember as a kid, when my parents told me we were going to move back to this town and go back into that school system, I remember crying as a little kid. I was like, no, I don't want to go back there. No, because I hated this place so bad, and I still do to this day. So that was a low point experience. But it's not the end of elementary school. There's one more elementary school I got to get to, okay? This guy. Now, the name is McGahey, and I just want to clarify that, like, we love all people. But when you're, like, 10 years old and you tell people that you go to McGahey school, you're going to get made fun of, okay? It was the early 2000s, late 90s. You were going to get made fun of. You just had to deal with it. I didn't mind that too much. It was a relatively small thing. This place was weird. Like, it was a decent school. I had some friends. I felt like I was performing pretty well there. I liked the facilities. I remember playing games like King of the Hill where they would clear the snow from the parking lot and it would form this big hill. And the King of the Hill game is you stay on top of the hill and other people try to beat you. Other people try to hit you physically until you cannot stay on the hill. There was this one Mexican kid named Billy. Billy was a beast at King of the Hill. Him and me would go at it. He was tough, man. And I would throw the elbows and the fist bumps and the headbutts, and we would go at it every week. I was good at King of the Hill. I was a big dude. So that was fun. The less fun things, I recall having to do a Broadway show that I thought was super lame. And I hated it just because I was like fat and uncoordinated and had like no skills for dance or musical theater. And I did not want anything to do with it, but I had no choice. And my parents wanted to see me do it. So whatever. The teaching was fine. I got along pretty well with my teachers here. I was doing pretty well in this school, actually. It was all right. I have like positive memories for the most part of McGahey. I did have to get my braces in this school, which was lame because it was like they had to take out 9 teeth to give me braces, something I still haven't totally forgiven my mom for. So that was kind of weak. I think this was a positive experience. I'm going to put this one in the B. I think that balances us out. Like so far, I feel this is right. Like, yeah, that's where it goes. And then we get into the second half of the game. There's a little more to tell on the second half, okay? We're going to get to that. So this is where we get into middle school, high school. Like McGahey was 4th and 5th grade. Okay. Then I was going to go into 6th grade, and that was here at this place, Hart Middle School. I can't quite read what it says. It was like helpful and something else, and respectful and trustworthy. Like they had an acronym for the school. This was a new experience because, like in America, what we do is we do elementary, middle school, high school. Elementary school is like typically kindergarten to 5th grade, maybe 6th, depending on the school you're in. Middle school then goes like 6, 7, 8, or maybe just 7 and 8. And those years are meant to be like the transition years. Like you're going to spend some of the day in your home room, right? You're going to spend like 3 or 4 hours in your room, but then you're still going to go do some optional courses, and you're going to go to different classrooms because it's supposed to like transition you towards high school. And even in like 8th grade, you get to choose a couple of courses and things. So that was kind of cool. I remember being pretty excited for middle school. Like, oh, this is going to be dope. Like I'm going to go to a new school and have more freedom and like do more things. And the other thing that was nice for me, like I moved around so freaking much, right? Like I'm in all these different schools. I was looking forward to the chance of going into a new school where everybody is the first year student. Like if you go into middle school in 6th grade, it's everybody's first year. Everybody, right? Nobody was there the year before. So it kind of creates this like fresh start vibe where like everybody can make friends. People are all trying to meet new people. You don't have your like closed little groups. I mean, yeah, you may know some people from your previous school. I didn't have that opportunity because this was in a different district. So nobody that I knew was in this school. But even then, other people, maybe some of their friends had to go to a different middle school. So like I had this opportunity to kind of make a bunch of new friends. And I did. I actually hit it off with people. I had friends for 6th grade. That was cool. 6th grade, I remember like 9/11 happened while I was at school. That's probably the most important memory I have of 6th grade. I was in social studies when 9/11 happened. And I remember we had TVs in the room that were like in the corner. And the TVs were controlled by the central like authority. The principal could hit a button and turn on the TVs. And it turned on. And these was like old tube TVs. So you had to like wait for it to kind of warm up to see the picture. Old boomer technology. And like I see the TV come on and there's a building with like smoke coming out of it. And then another plane, boom, smacked right then and there into the second tower. And I remember being so hype. I was like, oh, it's World War III. It's going down, And I don't know why. I to this day, I get a little hype when I see crises. It's not probably healthy, but it's my reaction. Like I see a crisis and I'm like, ooh, this is cool. Something interesting. 9/11 was a tragedy. I just want to make that clear. It was a terrible thing. Never forget. But I did react, in kind of a funny way. I think I was having fun with it. So, the other experience that I recall from this school, like, what else? Free pizza day. Yeah, on Fridays we would have Domino's pizza at school. And then, like, any pizza they didn't sell, they would just give away for free. So I used to, like, rack up 2 or 3 free slices of pizza every Friday. That was cool. I remember the history teacher once she gave me a failing grade because she didn't see my name on the back of my work. And then my parents were pissed because I got, like, a C in the class, which I never got. And I had to, like, bring that up with her, and she didn't fix it. But my parents did eventually hear the side of my story, and they were like, all right, you're cool. I didn't really get in trouble in this school. Yeah, this was overall a positive experience. Hart Middle School was a good time. I like that place. I would say this is solid. I had friends. I had pretty good memories overall. It was only 1 year though. That's the lame thing. I'm gonna put an 8 here. I like it. I remember this one fondly. I only stayed 1 year, and this sucked so much because I finally didn't change houses. I finally didn't move to another area. All these other things were the result of me moving, right? My parents moved from one place to another, so I went from Denora to Monongahela. Then we moved to Michigan, so I went to Hampton. And then we moved to Sterling Heights in Michigan, which sent me to McGehee. And then we moved to Rochester, and that sent me to Hart. This is the first time where we don't move. We just stay in the same house. But instead, the district goes, hey, we're changing the lines on the map, but now you're on the other side of the line. So you get to go to this middle school now. And that sucked because I was like, okay, finally I come into a school. I'm making good friends. I'm performing well. I'm having happy times. It's A tier. And then they switched me to this place, West Middle School. I was just so mad about that because it was like, now, you know what I said about like coming in and it's your first year for everybody, so we all make friends. Well, now I come into West Middle School, it's the second year for everybody. It's like everybody's already got their friend groups. So I'm kind of like left to try to make some friends, and it was difficult. And I ended up sort of like kind of fitting in with a couple of dudes who just didn't have any other friends yet. And we all sort of coalesced into a weird little group of 3 or 4 people. And I just didn't enjoy it. It was like, it sucked so bad. It was like finally things were going right, and I had to go to this place. So in fairness, the school wasn't the bad thing. What's up, Alonso? How you doing? But it was me, you know. I was like, I had this bad attitude towards it right away. So I was frustrated in this school. I got into a couple fights in this school. I like acted out a little bit because I was just mad at being there. I remember getting into a fight with this kid named Terry. He was like, I don't know. He didn't deserve it. Terry didn't deserve it. But I remember fighting Terry once. There was this other kid, Jim. I think it was Jim Roll. Who I got into a fight with. This was funny, actually. Now, I'll tell you this story. So I was in math class. My math teacher at the time was a cool guy. He seemed like a chill dude. He had a weird sense of style. And he was teaching basic algebra. It's like 7th grade, maybe 8th grade. This kid. Now, I had this thing where I was like the biggest kid in the school. Okay, I was the tallest kid. There was only one other guy named Steve who was like as tall as me. And him and I kind of understood each other for that reason. And some people wanted to kind of pick fights with me, you know, because it was like, oh, I beat up the biggest kid. And then it's going to be like a chance for me to say, look how badass I am, right? I took out the biggest kid. What's up, Mauricio Paxelito? Good to see you guys. Thanks for stopping by. So, you know, I got to deal with this. I can't not fight these kids. It's like my mom would be like, don't fight back. It's not nice. My dad was like, you got to do what you got to do, okay? If you got to whoop his ass, you whoop his ass. Like, because you know how it is. If somebody starts a fight with you, you got to finish it. You can't be like, no, don't hurt me, man, because then they're just going to beat you up more. So I never started a fight, really. With Terry, it was kind of like we were yelling at each other, and I pushed him, and he pushed me, and then I punched him, and then he ran away. So I guess I kind of started that one a little bit. But this one with Jim was 100% on him, okay? He was like up in my face. I don't even remember why we were arguing. And at one point, I mean, mind you, this is like 4 minutes before class is going to start, okay? Math class, like the teacher is out of the room because it's like the time between classes. We're all in the class. We're all in our chairs. We're ready to go. Teacher's taking a couple extra minutes, and that's when this pops off. And Jim is like up in my grill yelling at me. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this dude. But he pushes me. He pushes me back. And I'm like in the aisle between the desks. And I go back a little bit and I lose my glasses. When I lost my glasses, everything was just fury. It was just rage. Like, rah, like Hulk mode activated, you know? Like as soon as my glasses flew off my face, it was on, okay? So I socked Jim with like 2 hooks, okay? 1 in each cheek, right? If you're out there, Jim, I want you to know I'm sorry. I didn't mean to beat you up, okay? Like, it wasn't my intention. I got mad. I was like 12. I'm not proud of that, you know? But that's what happened. So I decked Jim hard with 2 hooks and in the face, like square in the cheeks. He doesn't hit me back because he didn't have time to react. Second hit, I got him so good that he falls backwards into the teacher's table and, like, knocks over some of the teacher's stuff. You know, kind of broke something on his desk, I remember. He had one of those weird thermometers with like these little different liquids of I don't know. Anyway, that broke. So I was like, oh, crap, we're in trouble. We messed up. And teacher comes in, and this is the funny part. Like, I tell Jim, sit down, you know, and Jim sits down, and Jim sits in front of me, okay? He sits right in front of me. So I have to sit down behind the guy that I just beat. And the teacher comes in, and the teacher's like, something's up. Like, he doesn't know what's up, but he knows something's up because you can feel it in the air. The whole room is just like, like the whole room is so tense. And at some point, The teacher looks at Jim and sees that his face is turning purple, like the blueberry boy in Willy Wonka. So, like, if you see Willy Wonka, the one that turns into the blueberry, like, that's what Jim looked like here. And I'm just like, I'm watching this and I'm laughing my ass off. I'm like, this is so funny to me that this is happening because, yeah, the power, exactly. I was on a bit of a power trip there. I'm not going to lie. I was in a rare mode. I was in a mood, man. So, teacher notices Jim's face turning purple. I'm laughing like a maniac. The rest of the class is a little scared. They're like, dude, this guy's kind of nuts. Teacher finally looks at Jim and says, Jim, what happened? And Jim doesn't say nothing. A couple other people look at me, And, hello, mate. Julian, how you doing? Wonderful. Just telling stories. So, yeah, long story short, the rest of the class rats me out. They're like, Meacham beat up Jim. And then he looks at me, he's like, did you do that to Jim? And I was like, well, he started it. My glasses were knocked off. And they sent me to the office. I got suspended for a day or something. And that kind of marked the beginning of a long, strained relationship with me and the principal of this school. I had beef with this principal in ways that I've never had in my life. Like, this guy was out to get me, and I was not taking it, okay? This is like the start of a rebellious phase for me at West Middle School, okay? This is another story of this. This is the relationship, right? One time, there were two buses that went by my house, okay? Two buses. One would drop me a little bit closer to my house, but I was told that I had to go on the other bus. Well, I took that other bus, no big deal. But eventually that bus driver started kind of annoying me. Like, she would yell at us a lot, and she wasn't very nice. And I don't know, I was getting bad vibes, especially in the morning. So I went to the other bus, and I said, hey, your bus goes through my neighborhood. Could I switch to your bus? And she said, well, you could, but I need your parents' authorization, and I need you to tell the school because I have to make sure I have enough space and that, they know where you are. And I said, okay, that seems reasonable. So I got off her bus, went back to my usual bus, got home. Everything was fine. The next day I get to school, I get the call. And by the way, when you get the call to the office in America, it's not just like somebody comes to the class and goes, hey, can Andrew come out? No. It's Andrew Meacham to the principal's office, please. It's broadcast through the entire building. So you got to do the walk of shame out of your classroom, and everyone goes, ooh, and you walk by other classrooms and they're looking out the window like, oh, somebody in trouble. It's a very, intense feeling, and your heart's pounding. You're like, man, I'm walking to this principal's office right now. But this time I'm like, what did I do? I haven't done nothing, right? So I get to the principal's office, and he says, how did you get home yesterday? I'm like, my bus? Well, that's not what I heard. It's like, well, what'd you hear? He's like, well, I heard that you refused to get on your bus and that you were standing in front of the other bus and you were holding up the traffic and you made everyone late. And I was like, that's fake news, bro. Like, that didn't happen. I didn't make anyone late. I went onto the other bus. I asked a question and then I went back to my bus. We left on time. I got home on time. Like, I got proof. I got the time I got home. Like, I can show you. Like, I let my mom know when I got home. Like, it was not a weird thing. Like, he's just inventing crazy stories about me. Wouldn't be the first time, wouldn't be the last. So I'm like, this guy suspends me for 3 days for nothing at all. So my dad has to come in, and he's pissed. He's like, why do I got to come in and deal with this? This is stupid. He chews out the principal. He's like yelling at him, and I could hear him fighting in the office. And I mean, the guy had no evidence of anything I had done wrong, but for some reason wanted to punish me. And then, like, the next day, the guy was like, well, instead of a, school suspension, we're going to give you a bus suspension since you did something wrong on the bus. And my dad was like, no, you're not going to do that either because I don't want to come pick him up from school. Like, he has to get home somehow. Screw you. So then he was like, fine, now you have to have a lunch suspension. So for the next lunch, You have to eat it in the office with me, which is very awkward, by the way, to have to take your lunch from the cafeteria to the principal's office and just sit there while he like types on the computer. It's really weird. That happened. So all of this is to say, West Middle School was a contentious time in my life. It was very angsty, a lot of like rebellious vibes and a lot of tension, a lot of issues, a lot of fighting and punishments and shenanigans. Date with the enemy, yeah, pretty much is what it felt like. Positives, though, wasn't all bad. Positives, I met my Spanish teacher, Miss Miller. Miss Miller was awesome. I liked her so much so, in fact, that I once sent her an email many years later after I came to Peru to let her know that I appreciated her very much. Because, honestly, I think if it weren't for her, I might not be where I am today. Like, that's the first teacher I could say so far that ever, like, had an effect on my life. Because she made Spanish class so much fun. And I really liked it. And I picked it up because of her. She was a really good teacher. And she kind of awakened this interest in Latin American culture and Spanish language. Like, she would tell us about her time in Argentina. That's how she learned Spanish. She spent some years there. And I always thought that was so cool. And, like, I think low-key she might have influenced me to go to Peru, And when I went to Peru, after a couple years, after I get better at Spanish, I wrote her an email and I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but, like, this is me and this is what I do now. And I want to tell you thank you. And she wrote back and she said, oh, I remember you. That's awesome. That's so great. Thank you so much for telling me that. So, like, Ms. Miller keeps this out of C tier. It's funny, even though a lot of annoyingly bad things happened here and I had a lot of frustrating vibes, like, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It's like, it's weird. It's a weird relationship with West. Like, there's some good times. Also some bad times. I think this goes in top of C. This is going to go top of C tier. Like, this is going to be, like, it could even be here. It could be here or here. It's right around there. It's tough. Because, like, I know I just told you a bunch more negative stories than good stories, but those negative stories are kind of funny now. Like, they were a good time. So, all right. But that took me through 7th and 8th grade. And so, we proceed to high school. All right, you will see there are only 2 options left. So I'm going to tell you about the first one, which is Adams. Now, just like I said about Hart, the first year at Adams is the first year for everybody. And so I had another golden opportunity, to, meet new people, make some friends, and have a good time. And that's what I did. Like, I got in there, and right away, I knew some people that I had seen before at Hart, and I knew some people that I'd seen at West. So I had a couple of, like, friends already going in there. And, like, I was able to really quickly kind of make it into a group. Now, granted, most of my friends were, like, the loser stoner guys, And I was a misfit, too. So we all got along. That was fine. I wasn't doing any drugs or smoking or anything then. But I was hanging out with some of the people that did. So they didn't influence me or pressure me to do anything. I didn't do anything stupid while I was there. I mean, I was only 14, but, like, I was with that group. And that got me in trouble. I got into trouble a couple times at Adams. I'll tell you a couple stories real quick. So the one that I find the most annoying, I may have told some of you this already in class at some point. We all are misfits to a degree, right, Julian? I'm with you on that. Like, I wouldn't have it any other way, honestly. Misfits make the world interesting. But, so I had this, I saw this lighter at a gas station, and it was a pig with a little hat on it. And if you pull the hat, fire came out of its nose. You got 2 flames out of its nose. I thought that was super cool. I wanted that lighter. So I waited for my opportunity. Like, my dad finally took me to that gas station, and then he was getting gas, and I ran in and got the lighter without telling my dad or anything. And I kept it in my pocket. And I was like, awesome. And then, of course, because I'm dumb, I was like, oh, I want to take this to school and show people because I'm stupid. And my locker was next to this other kid's locker, this kid Tej. And Tej was like 2 years younger than me because he was super smart. And he, like, skipped a bunch of grades. And he was also just tiny. And Tej, like, saw me kind of playing with the pig lighter. And he reported me. He told on me, man. And I wanted to get him back for that. I wanted to, like, prison style. Snitches get stitches. I never did. I never beat Tej up for that, for the record. But I wanted to. I thought about it. So I know he told on me because, he's the only person who saw it. And tattletales do suck. I agree. I think it's lame. But that's what happens. So I'm coming back to my locker after, like, recess, and there's a policeman there, Policeman's got my locker open, and they are just ripping everything out of my locker, like everything, old papers, books, backpack, dumping it up upside down, like just tearing apart my locker. And I get there, and they're like, "Is this your locker?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, I hope it is. If you're going to tear it apart, if you got the wrong guy's locker, that's pretty stupid." So I said, "Yeah," and he's got like flashlight, and he's looking inside. He's like, "Do you have any drugs? Do you have any drugs?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Cigarettes? You got cigarettes? Alcohol? Alcohol?" I'm like, "No, none of the above." And then they dig around and they dig around and they find the pig lighter. He's like, "Well, then why do you have this?" And I'm like, "'Cause I think it's cool." He's like, "No, I don't buy it. You must have some drugs. You're doing drugs." And they took me to the office, and they had like the principal interrogate me, and he's like, "You doing drugs? We know you hang out with some of those people." And he's like giving me this crazy interrogation about this, like just like insisting that I confess to smoking or doing drugs. I must have been asked that 5-10 times in the span of like 20 minutes. It was just constant. And like, I genuinely hadn't done anything, I just owned a lighter. I never even lit anything on fire with it, Not that I didn't try, but I didn't do anything. I didn't damage anything. So, long story short, he suspends me for 3 days for this. And my dad has to come pick me up. This time my dad just doesn't even fight it. He's like, "This is dumb." He actually took me out to lunch. He took me to like Applebee's or Fridays or Chili's or something like that. Like, I forget which place, but he was like, "This is dumb. Come get lunch with me." So literally the school, they suspended me 3 days, put that on my record. They called it drug paraphernalia, like things related to drugs, even though it was just a lighter. And they punished me for that. And I was sent home for 3 days, and I missed a math exam and got like bad grades that trimester or semester for that. And that was one dumb thing. I had another fight at that school. What's up, Bitoski? That one was kind of lame. That was just a kid who was pissing me off, and he hit me, and then I pushed him into some lockers, then he punched me in the head. Yeah, that was dumb. What else was dumb there? That was mostly it. But the thing is, I actually had a pretty good time at this school. I liked it a lot. I had cool friends. I had and you get to choose all your courses, right? So this is where I learned how to type. I actually started that in 8th grade. I take that back. That was actually West. You know what? I learned how to type at West. That goes up to B tier now. Because that's the most useful skill I ever learned in school. I've said it 1,000 times. So that has to go in B tier now. But I learned cool things. I took cool classes. Like, I did what I wanted to do. I felt like I was like doing well with school for the most part. I loved my English teacher. Mr. Runchy was super cool. Didn't love my Spanish teacher in the school as much. He was kind of a douche. But it was all right. All in all, I like this a lot. The reason I didn't stick around, I think this actually qualifies as it's got to go above West, because it actually was a happier time in my life while it lasted. But that's the thing. It doesn't crack A because I didn't stay very long and it was frustrating. So here's the thing. My parents thought that some of my friends were a bad influence, and so they pulled me out of the school. And they weren't wrong. Some of my friends were bad influences. I didn't do anything stupid, but I could see their point. So they took me out of school. And they told me, "Do you want to there were 2 months left, and they were like, "Do you want us to take you out now or at the end of the year?" And I remember saying, "Just do it now. I don't want to sit here for 2 months knowing that I'm going to be leaving, and I didn't want to suffer with that." So I just decided, "No, I'm done." So I left. And yeah, you get to choose all your classes, dude. It's super cool. Once you get to high school in America, you get to choose all your classes, literally all of them. Like I had to take 4 years of English. I had to take like 3 or 4 years of math. But which math, which English you take is up to you. You can take advanced ones or more basic ones or like something in the middle. I took business math for a while to like take a math course, but also it was an elective for business. So it was like teaching you about accounting stuff. It was like super useful. So I love that about that school. That's why it ranks decently for me. I had a lot of options. There were a lot of class choices actually. And they opened up more as you went in. Like ninth grade, they kind of start you slow, but like 10th, 11th, you would get to choose a lot. But I didn't get that opportunity because my parents pulled me out and they put me here in this private school. Now, this private school was an online only school back in like 2005. Okay. This is before, let me get Boomer Meacham on you. This is before we had streaming videos all the time. YouTube didn't exist yet. This is before every house had internet on all the time. Sometimes you had to turn on your internet. Okay. This was before like super fast internet. I might have had 2 megabytes a second on a good day. Today I have like 120, you know. This was a very primitive time. So the school was also kind of like that. Like they would give me homework and tests through a computer program that sent my information online. But then like other things had to be mailed in a box. Like they would mail my tests for math because you had to write it out, you know, and I would have to mail it back. And I never had any face-to-face time with a teacher. Never. That's how this worked. It was strictly you do your work, you teach yourself, you send it to the school, your teacher checks it, sends back your grades, and you continue on. And I had 0 lessons from 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Okay, I did not go to a class for the last 3 years of high school. I don't tell this to a lot of people. This is the inside info, okay, people? Like, hear that, all right? Because I want you to imagine, like, y'all complain sometimes about your online school. That what I did was even like, it was the most basic form of education possible. So I graduated, Mauricio, in 2008, okay? But the school, I started it in 2005. So I did 5, 6, and 7. I should have graduated in 2007, but I got so lazy with this online system that I waited like for another 6 months. See you, Julian. Thanks for stopping by. So like I did 10th, 11th, 12th grade online. But because I started working full time in like 11th grade, I kind of took a while to finish my 12th grade year. I had to knock out like 2 more math classes, and I was just super lazy about it because honestly, so for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, I would do like 2 hours of school a day. I would like get up at like 10 a.m., go to the computer, do a couple of tests, do a couple homework assignments. 12:30, I'd be done. I'd be playing video games. My parents were out working. Like, I didn't do crap, man. It was the easiest high school experience ever. The downside was that it was a little depressing to just be home alone all day for 3 years. But in a way, that prepared me for like 2020, okay? 2020 comes along, hits you guys all in the face, right? Me, I was like, we trained for this. We are ready for this. Like, I've done this, okay? I've done the online school. I know how to handle this stuff. So I was ready. Staying at home by myself all day was kind of like, oh, we've done that before. We did that for years. So yeah, laziness in online school predict the future. Basically, yes, it was. So when I started teaching online school last year, I knew exactly what to expect. I knew exactly how you guys were going to feel. And I knew how to combat that a little bit, how to fight against that as the teacher. You know, as a teacher, I had a very unique experience, I think, that most other teachers don't. And that's why I think that's why my online classes were pretty decent, because I understood the dark side of the online school. So that's a little part of my experience that a lot of people don't know about. Like I did the last 3 years of high school online, all self-taught. And I didn't learn much because I wasn't taking it all that seriously. And I don't blame you guys for doing the same if you have. On the bright side, though, it did kind of teach me a lot about like how to teach yourself and how to actually Because when I needed to care, I could care. And when I needed to get some grades and pass some classes, I could do it. And that showed me a little bit about how to learn and how to study and how to be a little bit more of an independent person. So thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, I do think that my experience in high school, and I also did my degree partially online. So I've done about 8 years of online school between high school and my university degree. I have done about 8 years of online school. So when it came time to teach it, I was just like, you know, I got this. What's up, Mr. Vasquez? Yeah. So that's the story. That's the tale. Okay. The little details that I don't tell. But now you know. This for me was like, yeah, it's like right here. Like, don't get me wrong. It was awesome to sleep in and do 2 hours of work a day and call that school and then just play video games all day. That was cool. But, yeah, not being able to go out with friends, see people, you know, interact, that got lame after a while. And that's where it goes. I don't think I ever truly had an S-tier school experience in my life. I also don't think I had a truly F-tier school experience in my life. I think this is literally it. Mostly okay, not bad. Some not great. Some a little tragic. But I have a tendency to remember even the bad times in a positive way. So, you know, that's what it is. All right, we got this done by 7 p.m. That's what I got today because I got to go and get tacos, okay? Like, tacos are waiting for me, and I got to go. So I have to be out of the door in 3 minutes for tacos at 7 p.m. over here in America. I know I normally would do this at 6:30 Peruvian, 7:30 America time, but unfortunately, you know, I got things to do. I got tacos to eat, so that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, my people, next week we may not have a live stream because I'm not sure about like how I'm going to do it. I'm going to be on the road next week on Monday, so I'll see if I can. If I can, great. If not, whatever. We'll make it work. I would like to, though, so we'll see how we can make it happen. Tomorrow is Taco Tuesday. I know, but that's the thing. They surprised me with Taco Monday today. So that's how we do. But it's been a real treat, my people. Thank you very much for stopping by and for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed the show. And Thursday, we'll have another video for you guys. I still have to finish editing it, but it's coming. So don't worry. I got that. And that's it. That's the plan for today. All right, my people. So you guys have been a treat. Thanks for hanging out and talking to my chat. And I will see you next week.